What's up YouTube? Wayne's DIY Car Mods here. Today I'm going to talk to you about my 1986 Ford Ranger extended cab. I'm putting a Dana 80 that came off of a Chevy Allegro RV. I'm not sure if Chevy made them. It was kind of like one of your conversion van companies that built RVs and used Chevy parts, but using Dana 80 off of it and looking to put a Chevy 350 in this. But some of the things that I went through putting this axle on is the Ford Ranger factory OEM axle. The spring widths were actually quite close to what this Dana 80 is already. The only thing that I did to make it fit without cutting the spring mounts and rewelding them back to where the original spring mounts on the truck are, I cut 5/16 plate steel on, and that gave me enough width on both sides to spread the mounts for this axle. It was time consuming. These spring mounts on the truck were riveted, so I put grade 8 bolts back into place, and it seems to be holding up nicely. Still got to work out something for the sway bar. The sway bar is freaking huge. It's like an 1.5 inch solid rod of steel. Smokestack came off of a tractor some time ago. The gas tank's not original. The original gas tank that was in this was a steel gas tank. This gas tank came out of an '89 Ford Ranger that was also an extended cab. So they barely fit. This one is barely in there. It's a tight fit. And I don't know how you could have done it if the bed was on it. The bed was off of it at the time, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you already have the bed off and you want to make a couple new mounts for it. Plastic does beat the steel because the steel had a bunch of holes in it, and steel tanks get a lot of rust in them. To respray them is pretty expensive, and plastic's just better all the way around. But yeah, not sure what the gear ratio is in this Dana 80. The tags are all kind of rusted off. Looking to put a Dana 44 or a Dana 60 on the front, whatever I can find cheaper at the salvage yard. Please ignore the chickens, they're a nuisance. But yeah, that's just a little bit of up to speed on my project so far. So if you're looking to do anything like this yourself, it's a bit involving, but you could do it with regular tools. It's not that hard. If you got the inline 4, the V6, it's probably going to be underpowered for an axle like this. That's why I'm looking at putting a Chevy 350 in it. These are the plates that I made for the custom mount, or the factory mounts with the custom plates to make the spring off the Dana 80 work with this truck. So I forget what the measurement was. I did this a long time ago. It was roughly around like 13/16 of a difference. This is 5/16. It got me real close, and the flex of the spring was just enough to get them to work. And I already had the plate steel laying around the shop, so I cut some of that up and put them on. This is the rear steel, just so you get an idea. These bolts are not friendly taking them off, especially if it's on an older truck that's seen some grime. I believe these people took this, the people that had this truck before us, I'm willing to bet they took it down to the beach and drove it on the beach. And the salt and sand does not like the steel on these things. But yeah, I did this on the more front part mounts. I did the spacers like this because of the rivets for the cross member here, and on the other side the gas tank's kind of in the way. Actually, it wasn't the gas tank, it was these rivets. If you try and put a flat piece of steel over it, these rivets would not let the steel sit up flush the truck. And it's probably not a good idea to have spacers on it in the first place, but if you had a gap and the only points of contact were on these rivets, that is not good, especially if you start encountering heavy loads and stuff. It would not work. It would break and you'd be very mad and hate the world, and something could go terribly wrong. So this way it's got the most surface contact. I mean, the way this mount is, my theory is it's probably got more surface contact than the factory, because this is all that was touching the frame from the factory. So probably not losing much by putting these spacers on. Still wouldn't recommend this setup for road use. Probably not up to the DOT spec. Probably fail an inspection. If you wanted it to be street legal, you'd probably have to end up cutting the mounts on the rear axle and moving them in and going with the factory spacing for the brackets on the truck. That mount, I think, is broke on the truck, and there's a few other things that I'm not worried about today that need to be taken care of on this thing. In case you're wondering what the interior looks like, got a wasp in my face. It's relatively clean for the age, a little sun faded. Interior's not ripped up. These doors came off the same 1989 Ranger that the gas tank came from. She's a diamond in the rough. Frame's got some surface rust, but there's no real serious frame damage on it. Doesn't look like it's ever been in an accident. However, the top of the cab, seen some better days. I don't know if this is common on Rangers or not, but you can find cabs for these things all day long if you're willing to put in the effort. First, this is, I believe, the first gen. If it isn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but all that's different between these with these headlights, the square glass headlights, is the grille. To the later 87 to 92 or 93 Ranger models, the cabs are the same. The cabs are identical. All the fenders are the same. The only thing that's different is this front grille. So if you had a later model and you wanted this look, you could get the parts off an LMC truck probably and convert it yourself. Or if you had the later model and you wanted it to look newer, you could do the opposite. But these parts are the same. So if you had a rusted up cab and you wanted a new cab, you could get a cheap 2-wheel drive Ranger, work just as well. Swap if you really care about it and you wanted a decent cab and you could find one that's not rusted up. It's between, I think, 84 and I think 93. They're all the same cab. You probably have to rip all the interior bits again to match for your model year and whatever model package you got on your truck, but it's doable. Like, this is an 86 Ranger and those are 89 doors. Same body lines. The mirrors are different. On the 86, the mirrors had all metal base, and they like 2 points of contact here, and there's like a third, maybe a fourth point of contact down lower. Old school mirror. They stuck out a little bit more, but